Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Maya Luthinen. I'll be one of your facilitators today. We're super excited to have you here, and let's get started. So in the beginning, I would just like to tell everyone that we have simultaneous interpretation in this session into English, Sinhala, and Tamil. So if you'd like to change the language, please click on the globe icon on the bottom right and select the language. We'll start with some introductions today. So hello again, my name is Maya, and I'm working at the UNESCO South Asia Cluster Office. It's very nice to meet you all, and I'll hand over to Shreya and my other co-facilitators today to introduce themselves.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Shreya Jani. I am from the UNESCO MGIEP office, and I'm responsible for prevention of violent extremism interventions with youth and also the youth paging peace activities, which I'll tell you more about. So I look forward to a really glorious evening. I now request Darshita, one of the co-facilitators, to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Darshita, and I'm one of the youth authors for the research project that Shreya just mentioned, and I'm also working with #Generation and Impact Voices. I'm really happy to be here and to be speaking to you all. Thank you. Next, Ife.
Hello, I'm Ife-san. I'm a current Master of Art student in the International Educational Development Program in Columbia University. I work with Maya in the Social Human Sciences unit of UNESCO. It's very nice talking to you.
Priya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Maya. So hello, very good evening, everyone. I'm Priya from Sri Lanka. So I'm a independent consultant in training and facilitation, especially in social development sector. Thank you. I request Gaji to go next.
Thank you, Priya. So hi, everyone. I'm Gaji. I work mostly as a trainer and also with other organizations to ensure meaningful participation of young people in peace building. So that's what we all also here gathered for. And after me, I would like to ask Remo to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. It's really a great pleasure to be here. And I'm Remo. I'm an international consultant on development sectors and facilitations and all. I'm a consultant for UNOY and other international organizations working for youth and peace building, and great to be here. And let me call in Ramzi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ramzi. So I'm a trainer as well. So I've been training for some time now. So that's about it about me. I'll hand it over to Gayan, who's here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gayan Rajapaksha. So I'm also working as a youth development trainer and a facilitator. So yeah, it's a nice time to be with you. Yes, then Sanjana, would you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, good evening. I am Sanjana and I'm joining in from New Delhi, India. I primarily work in the field of education and I'm currently with UNESCO as a young trainer on meaningful youth engagement. It's lovely to be here and I look forward to interacting with all of you in the course of this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, over to you, Kaji.
Thank you, Maya. So now that we facilitators have introduced ourselves to you all, we would like to also know who we have here today. So with that, we have like a small, quick and fun activity for introductions. I will first give my instruction in English, then Tamil, then Gayan will support me for Sinhala, and then we can get to the activity, right? So just to keep it very simple and sweet, we thought that y'all could first share your name in the Zoom chat box. So, but there's a small catch. Now, when you're sharing your name, you're going to be using an adjective that describes you with your name. So for example, my name is Gaji. So I would introduce my name as Grateful Gaji in the chat box, right? So let's try to keep this very interesting and also try to do this within 2 minutes, right? So for the instruction in Tamil, ஸோ நாங்கள் வந்து உங்களை ஒருத்தருக்கு ஒருவர் நீங்கள் அறிமுகப்படுத்துறதுக்கு ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு ஆக்டிவிட்டி பிளான் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம். ஸோ இதில் நீங்கள் என்ன சொல்லணும், உங்களோட பேரை நீங்கள் அறிமுகப்படுத்துறீங்க. ஆனால் உங்களோட பேருக்கு முன்னால உங்களை விவரிக்கிற ஒரு அடைமொழியையும் சேர்த்து நீங்கள் உங்களோட பேரை இந்த ஜூம் சாட்ல நீங்கள் போடுவீங்க, ரைட்? ஸோ உதாரணத்துக்கு என் பேர் காஜி அண்டா, நான் ஜூம் சாட்ல என்ன கிரேட்ஃபுல் காஜி அண்டு நான் என்ன இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணுவேன். கயான்.
ඔව් අපි පුංචි ක්‍රියාකාරකමක් කරන්න යන්නේ. මේකෙදී අපි හැමෝම අපේ නම විශේෂණ පදයක් ඉස්සරහට යොදලා අපේ නම පටන් ගන්න අකුරෙම විශේෂණ පදයක් ඉස්සරහට දාලා මේ chat box එකේ type කරන්න පුළුවන්. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට මගේ නම ගයාන්. ඒකට මම G අකුරෙන් නම පටන් ගන්න හින්දා මට පුළුවන් මගේ නමට good ගයාන් වගේ එකක් දාන්න. ඒ වගේ ඔයාලගේ නම පටන් ගන්න අකුරෙම විශේෂණ පදයක් දාලා chat box එකේ ඔයාගේ නම type කරන්න. අපි විනාඩි 2ක් දෙනවා මේ activity එකට.
Thank you very much. So as you're writing your names and introductions in the chat box, could we have our first Zoom poll on the screen, please? And Ife, over to you.
Thank you all for the self-introduction. I hope you're able to get to know each other a little bit over the Zoom. In the next few minutes, we'll have a little Zoom poll with the 2 questions. So the first question is, have you attended a peace building workshop before? Please choose the answer, yes or no. So we will get to know a little bit about your background in terms to the peace education workshop. I will give you a little bit, I'll give you 10 more seconds to answer the questions. And then we will see the result very quickly. Yes. Can we have the result on the screen, please? Yeah, as you can see, 68% of people has attended a peace building workshop before. So I hope the rest of the 32% were able to take away something from this peace education workshop. And once again, welcome to our peace building workshop. And let's go to the second question. Can we have the second question on the screen, please? The second question is, are you involved in some form of peace building workshop, for example, in your own community? So please choose the answer yes or no based on your own circumstances. And we will also take about 10 to 15 seconds in answering this question. Can we have the answer on the screen, please? Cool, so it's about the similar group of people. So 63% of people are involved in the peace building work in your own community. And then 37% of people have never been involved in any kinds of form of peace building work in your own community. So I hope that with the workshop, you were able to take away something from it and transfer something into any kinds of form of peace building work. And yeah, and let's turn to the next section of today's workshop.
Thank you very much, Ife. Let's have Remo just clarify some house rules for this Zoom session. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Again, very quickly, I would like to share you some of the guidelines or some practices for us to engage very actively. And maybe Ramsey can help us out if you can put that in Sinhala, and I will also briefly say that in Tamil. So first of all, we really encourage and welcome everyone to actively participate and engage. If that doesn't happen, this won't be a productive outcome. And second, it's always important when we participate to take our chances and opportunity to speak and share at the same time. Be good to give others a chance, right? And encourage others to participate. It's mainly also in the breakout room sessions when you have a smaller group of participants. And then technically stay muted. Stay muted always unless you speak. But at the same time, smart and quick to unmute before you speak, because most of the time we forget to unmute, but we'll be keep speaking. So mute yourself unless you speak, and it's ready to unmute before you speak. And another thing, be sensitive. We are getting into a new normal with the virtual engagements, where we sometimes tend to forget that we are on a video and a lot of us are looking at us. So be sensitive about that. And it's also important that we need to act in a way that others don't find it inconvenient and uncomfortable, right? So we are responsible for that too. And on the last note, use reactions here and also chat box to communicate. And all the facilitators and the co-facilitators are committed to keep an eye and ears on anything that you want to share to us. So good luck. In Tamil children or line நல்லா பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ணுங்க, தயக்கம் இல்லாம எல்லா விஷயங்களையும் ஈடுபடுங்க. அதே நேரம் மற்றவங்களுக்கான சந்தர்ப்பத்தையும் கொடுக்கறதுக்கு மறக்காதீங்க. அதே மாதிரி இன்னொரு விஷயம், எப்பவுமே உங்களோட மைக்ஸை வந்து நீங்க மியூட் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கொள்ளுங்க, டிஸ்டர்ப்ஸ் இல்லாம இருக்கும். ஆனா நீங்க கதைக்க போறீங்கன்ற உடனே மைக் ஆன் பண்ண மறக்காதீங்க. அண்ட் வீடியோவில் இருக்கிறீங்கன்றது ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கொள்ளுங்க. ஸோ நாங்கள் செயற்படுற விதத்தில் மற்றவர்களுக்கு அசௌகரியங்களை நாங்கள் ஏற்படுத்தாத மாதிரி இருக்கிறது மிக முக்கியம், ரைட்? அண்ட் அதே மாதிரி ரியாக்ஷன்ஸையும் சட் பாக்ஸையும் யூஸ் பண்ணியும் நீங்க கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ணுங்க. நாங்க எல்லா ஃபெசிலிட்டேட்டர்ஸும் உங்களுடைய செயற்பாடுகளையும் உங்களுடைய கருத்துக்களையும் கேட்கறதுக்கு ஆவலா இருப்போம். ராம்சிடி.
තෑන්ක්ස් රෙමෝ. මම ඉක්මට කියන්නම් රෙමෝ කියපු එක. ඉතින් සක්‍රියව දායක වෙන්න හැමෝටම අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා කතා කරන්න. ඉතින් කතා කරන අවස්ථාවලදී විතරක් අන්මියුට් කරලා කතා කරන්න. අනිත් අවස්ථාවලදී මියුට් එකේ තියාගන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ මයික් එක. අනිත් එක තමයි chat box එක ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. තවත් අර සක්‍රිය දායක වෙන්න පුළුවන් අවස්ථාවලදී අනිවාර්යෙන් සක්‍රියව දායක වෙන්න. ඊට අමතරව ටිකක් සංවේදී වෙන්න. හේතුව ඇවිල්ලා අපි විශේෂයෙන් අපිට ලබා දෙන්න අනිත් කට්ටිය ලබා දෙන තොරතුරු ඉතාමත්ම සංවේදී වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවලදී සංවේදීව ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වන්න උත්සාහ කරන්න. ඉතින් පුළුවන් තරම් සහභාගී වෙන්න. ඒක තමයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, so just quickly for the workshop today, we will be focusing on social cohesion and peace building. Let's get quickly started. We'll start with an icebreaker activity, and then we have a number of fun games and activities for you. So Shreya, over to you for our icebreaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya, so much. And a very good evening to all of you. Can I request all of you to go on to the gallery view so you can see as many boxes as possible. So this icebreaker can be a little bit more fun for all of us. This is a very normal game that I think all of us yes. So in this activity, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a set of options, and you have to respond to those options based on my instruction. Okay. And this game is called Would You Rather. So I will give you two options, and I will tell you if you want like option one, then you press heart emoji. And if you like option 2, then you put that smiley face with the tears coming out emoji as your reaction. All right, so are we ready? Let's start. Would you rather go to a vacation in Gaul, which is heart, or smiley face to Candy? Which one would you go to what you call have vacation in? I think I will go to Gaul. So let's see how many are going where. Lots of different options here. I have a lot of people going to Gaul. I have some people going to Candy. Okay, you guys have to press the emoji for sure. A lot of you are not pressing the emoji. So again, when I say heart emoji is option 1 and option 2 is that smiley face with tears. All right. Your second one is, would you rather at this point right now eat an ice cream or have some chips? Come on, we can do better in our reactions. Come. Okay, we have some chips, a lot more ice creams coming out. Yes, come on. All right, youth group. All right, the next one we have heart emoji. Would you rather go scuba diving, or smiley face emoji? Would you rather go bungee jumping? So I think I'm going to choose the one which I haven't done yet, which is bungee jumping. Which one? Scuba diving, bungee jumping? A lot of scuba diving. Bungee jumping as well. All right, youth group. We have the last of the fun ones, and then we'll get into some serious piecework. So would you rather dance in public or sing in public? And be careful with your answer. Dance in public, heart emoji. Sing in public, smiley face. Okay, all those who did dance, do a shakedown. Come on. All those who said they'll sing, well, I'm not going to ask you to sing because it will need you guys to turn on your mic, which may be a disaster. So we will wait for another forum to do that. And now we get down to some serious piecework, okay? So this is a little bit more complicated. I'm going to give you a situation and you have to give your responses again. So you have 4 responses that you can have. One is a very violent or aggressive response to the situation, in which case you put the O emoji with the mouth all O like that on the reactions. The second is like an indifferent. So that means you press no emoji whatsoever. In this situation, you won't do anything. You will just avoid doing anything. The third is you will try and do somewhat, a non-violent action. So in that case, you put the laughing emoji with the smiley face. And if you're going to be completely peaceful, then you put the heart emoji. In case you put the heart emoji, please type in the chat box what your intervention would be. All right. So starting off with situation 1. There is only one piece of chocolate cake on the table and your friend and you both want it. What would you do? Would you have a very aggressive approach? Would you be like indifferent, walk away from the situation? Would you have somewhat a non-violent approach or completely non-violent approach? So go. What would you do? And just to remind you, if you're going to be aggressive and snatch it and run away, then O is your response. If you're going to have no response, which is everybody's like, okay, there are a lot of people who are showing hearts. Please type down what you would do. And those who are indifferent, you just be like, just take the chocolate cake. Nobody loves chocolate cake here, it seems. All right. Any other people? No aggressive responses also. I don't see it yet here. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Let's try and engage with it. Again, if you're going to be very aggressive, the emoji that you have to press is this one. If you're going to be like indifferent, press nothing. If you're going to be somewhat non-violent, it's this one. And if you're going to be completely non-violent, it's this one. So going back to this second situation, you see some children bullying a dog on the street. Okay, what would you do? So you were seeing a bunch of people bullying a dog on the street. What would you do? We have some heart responses. So, let's see what the heart responses. Please type your answers into the chat box. No aggressive responses. All right. We have the third one, a senior member of your family calls you lazy because you're not listening to them. What would you do? Would you be like indifferent? I think a lot of you are choosing to be indifferent in most cases. So that becomes a very interesting thing to look at when we're trying to be peace builders. How much indifference can we have? If we're going to be aggressive, then we have to keep in mind that, you know, different situation elicits different responses from us. So those who are going to be aggressive, you can also write down your responses of how you would be aggressive in the chat box. And last but not the least, you've received news that people in your locality are putting up posters which are hate slogans. What would you do? I encourage all of you to, the very aggressive and the very peaceful one, to write their responses. Those who are indifferent, I think Maya is going to snap you out of your indifference and get you to react in some way or the other. So with that, our icebreaker is over and I hand it over to Maya. Thank you, Maya.
Thank you very much, Shreya. And as I wrote on the chat box, it would be great to see all of you. So if you could turn on your cameras, if you have the bandwidth available, it would be really nice to see you. But let's get going on to our first activity. So we're going to be talking today about conflict and challenges to social cohesion, because these are things that we need to address before we can talk about how we confront them and how we build peace. So let me just share my screen again. Okay. So here I would like to get you to open Mentimeter. We have the link here on the next slide. Could you all please open up this link here? And there is a QR code.
Maya, it's also in the chat box, the link.
Perfect. And then let's talk about conflict and challenges to social cohesion. So, is conflict negative or positive? What is conflict? So as I'm talking and asking these questions, feel free to open up that Mentimeter that's in the chat box and type in some ideas and thoughts based on these questions. What do you think about conflict? Is it a positive thing? Is it a negative thing? Is it a neutral phenomenon? Some form of conflict is very normal. So conflicts occur in all societies at very different levels. We all experience conflict at personal levels, at the family level, and also in the community and national and international levels. So conflict in itself is not a bad thing if it is handled productively. And talking through a conflict situation can actually be a great opportunity for learning and for change to take place. So what we want to stress here is that actually societies thrive when lots of different individuals and groups have different kinds of perspectives, and these can be in conflict, but they manage their conflict productively by turning it into a conversation. So diversity in itself is a strength. And where this gets challenging, where we have challenges to social cohesion, is when societies become very polarized and opinions are seen as either black or white, everything is right or wrong, and people revert to extremes. So this type of thinking can lead to extremism and hate speech, which are things that we are working at UNESCO to prevent. So we're going to be doing a little conflict simulation to get you thinking about these ideas. I hope you have had chance to write a few thoughts already in the Mentimeter, just to get you thinking first about conflict. And now we're going to be looking in the next simulation activity at what leads people to revert to violence and hate speech. Okay, thank you. We have some answers there. If you'd like to continue writing, that's fine. But we would like to next move on to the simulation story. So let me share my screen for that. Okay. So when we talk about conflict and challenges to social cohesion, sometimes it's fun to think about it in terms of a simulation. So you see a story here, and we have translations also written in Tamil and Sinhala, so you can click the link to find those. And I will just read you this story where we are all now citizens of the Republic of Mawan. And we're going to pretend that we are living through this situation and thinking about how we can prevent conflict escalation happening. So we are all living in a country named Mawan, which is a fragile state. And what that means is that the country has some challenges in governance and is not able to provide basic services for its citizens. This fragility comes from a long-lasting dispute that Mawan has had with its neighbor, the Temple Islands, and it's related to water and fishing rights, this dispute. Now, things have been getting a little bit better between the two countries, but recently, Temple Islands has experienced severe weather patterns and drought. And this situation has caused migrants to come into the neighboring country, Mawan, particularly to the region of Conan and the village of Chuswan. And this is where most of us will be living, in this little village of Chuswan, famous for centuries for its cultural heritage and artifacts, the skill for which was passed down through generations. And in this village, they have an interesting system, which is a matrilineal system. So women here are the main line of ancestors that inherit. In this lovely little village, though, there have been some problems. So they are facing economic difficulties, and young people have started to migrate to other towns because they're concerned about the lack of employment. And some young students have had to finish their studies early to help their parents work in the pottery stores. So before we go into the breakout rooms, I'm just going to give you the flashpoints. So what happens next? We have people coming from the Temple Islands, migrants, causing unrest and questions. The local news radio station has started broadcasting hateful narratives about the people who are arriving. The Templese children who are going to school, they feel bullied and targeted. And the community has become very polarized with new activist groups springing up. And then finally, we have elections coming up and a government representative who comes to visit the village. So we're going to have this game where you all get to be one of these identities in Mawan, and you're going to be in your breakout groups thinking about different kinds of questions that I have here on the screen. So over to Sanjana for a quick update on the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Thanks, Maya, and hello again to everyone. I'll just quickly introduce you all to breakout rooms, and we can quickly go over what we're expected to do in this activity in our breakout rooms. First of all, these rooms have been divided on the basis of your indicated language. So hopefully you would find people speaking or familiar with the same language in your room. However, in case that's not the case, we all can check with each other once and help each other out with translations if needed. There would be one of the facilitators in your room, and On some occasions, facilitators would also be switching from one room to the other. However, this is only to get a sense of how the discussions are going on and to maybe introduce a few points here or there. So we still want you all as the group members to be driving the discussion, and we'll be there to support you or maybe guide you in a couple of places if needed. At the same time, you also have to make notes on a mural board, and the link for this board would be provided to you. So maybe every group can allocate one person who would be taking notes simultaneously on the mural board. Make sure that everybody in the group participates and everyone gets a chance to speak and express themselves. We will keep giving you reminders about how much time is left. So, just keep that in mind when you're discussing. We want everyone to be able to speak within the given time. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, let's break out and then we can continue the conversation in the groups. Thanks.
Halo? Oh, Mam kanan.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for returning to the main session. So I hope you had a productive little breakout session talking about those things in your groups. And we will be showing all of that work in a visual gallery in about 10 minutes. But over to Shreya to talk about the work of MGIEP.
Maya, can you share the PPT, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So a quick brief on UNESCO MGIEP. MGIEP stands for Mahatma Gandhi Institution for Education for Sustainable Development and Peace. And we are a Category 1 organization, and we are focused on developing we are a research institute in Asia Pacific focusing on achieving Sustainable Development Goal 4.7, which is basically looking at education, especially for inclusion, sustainability, non-discrimination, prevention of violent extremism. So 4.7 is a very interesting SDG, and I suggest all of you have a deep dive into it, because it kind of looks at how education systems should transform to respond to the 21st century and build peace. Like education is a tool for building peace, and how can we use it? And this is both in formal and informal spaces. We lay a lot of emphasis on social emotional learning, and we also lay a deep emphasis on something which our director calls EMC square, which is not Einstein's EMC square. This is MGIEP's EMC square, which is empathy, mindfulness, compassion, and critical inquiry. When you combine these four in education or approaching life, we believe that transformation for peace is possible. Under the Youth Waging Peace head of our project, which is one of the youth activities, we have multiple projects, and I'm going to invite my colleague Darshita to talk about the current Youth Waging Peace project that he's involved in, and which we are hoping that all of you will also contribute in some way to. So over to you, Darshita.
Thank you, Shreya. ඉතින් අපි මම පොඩි අදහසක් කියන්නේ මොකද අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට තරුණ හැටියට මේ ලෝකේ අපි කතා කරනවා ප්‍රචණ්ඩකාරී අන්තවාදයේ පැතිරීම ඒ වගේම ඒ හරහා සමාජය තුළ ඇතිවෙන බලපෑම් කොයි වගේද කියලා. ඉතින් එහෙම කතා කරද්දී තරුණයන් හැටියට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපිව ලේබල් කරන එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ අන්තවාදයේ පැතිරීම එහෙම නැත්නම් අන්තවාදයේ තුළ ක්‍රියාත්මක වන පිරිස ඇතුළත ගොඩක් වෙලාවට තරුණයන් හැඳින්වෙනවා. හැබැයි අපි මෙතන සාකච්ඡාව තුළ අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා දැක්ක දෙයක් එක්කත් අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට බැලුවාම සාමය වෙනුවට අන්තවාදයේ ප්‍රචණ්ඩකාරීත්වය නැති කිරීම උදෙසා තරුණයන්ගේ දායකත්වය ඒ වෙනුවෙන් දක්වන ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය අතිශය වැදගත්. ඉතින් ඒක වෙනුවෙන් අපි හඳුනා ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒ ක්‍රියාදාමය තුළ මේ UNESCO MGIP ආයතනයත් එක්ක දකුණු ආසියාව තුළ සිටින තරුණයන් පිරිසක් කොළඹදී එකතු වුණා ගිය අවුරුද්දේ. ඒ එකතු වෙච්ච පිරිස මේ වෙද්දී අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා රිපෝට් එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් වාර්තාවක් නිර්මාණය කරන්න සිටිනවා. ඒකෙදී අපි උත්සාහ කරනවා තරුණයන්ගේ අදහස් එකතු කරගෙන ඒ හරහා ප්‍රතිපත්ති සම්පාදනයට දායක වෙන්න. මොකද අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට දන්නවා තරුණයන්ගේ හඬ ප්‍රතිපත්ති සම්පාදනයන් තුළ ඒ මේසයන් තුළට ඒ ටේබල්ස් තුළට යන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ඒ අදහස ලබා දෙන්න වෙනුවෙන් අපි කරගෙන යන වූ වාර්තාවට ඔයාලා හැමෝටම අපි ආරාධනා කරනවා ඔබලාගේ අදහස් ඒ වෙනුවෙන් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා. ඉතින් ඕකටේට පේනවා අපි ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා QR code එක. Sure, if you can move to my IT, if you can move to the slide before.
To the link,
QR
right?
codes, yeah. අපි දබා දීලා තියෙනවා QR codes දෙකක් අපිට මේක දෙනවා. මොකද මේකෙදි තරුණ තරුණියන් හැටියට ඔයාලට මේ වාර්තා සඳහා ඔයාලගේ හඬ ඔයාලගේ අදහස් ලබා දෙන්න හැකියාව තියෙනවා. මේකෙදි QR code දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් මේ surveys දෙකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකෙදි පළවෙනි එක ඉතාමත් දිග. එතන ඔයාලට ඇත්තටම comprehensive නැත්නම් ඉතාමත් වැදගත් inputs ලබා දෙන අවස්ථාවක් දීලා තියෙනවා මේ පළවෙනි QR code එක. දෙවෙනි QR code එක බොහොම සරලව නමුත් වැදගත් අදහස් දක්වන අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා. ඔයාලට අවශ්‍ය නම් මම link එක උත් share කරනවා chat එකේ. මේක හරහා අපි ආරාධනා කරනවා ඔයාලා හැමෝටම ඉතාමත් ඉක්මනින් ඔයාලගේ මේ දායකත්වය ලබා දෙන්න. ඔබලාගේ අදහස් ප්‍රතිපත් සම්පාදනය සඳහා වූ දායකත්වයක් සඳහා අපිට යොමු කරන්න අවස්ථාවක් දීලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් සියලුම තරුණ තරුණියන් මේ දකුණු ආසියාවේ තරුණ තරුණියන් දෙවියන් මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා ඔයාලට මේකෙදී අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා මේ තරුණයන්ගේ හඬ ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියන්න එකතු වෙන්න කියන ආරාධනය කරනවා. බොහොම ස්තුතියි. Thank you, Shreya. Over to you.
Next slide, Maya, please. And then one after that. So continuing on our journey of what MGIEP is up to, this is just one of our projects, which is Youth Waging Peace Report. And the next slide, please, Maya. Under the youth waging peace and youth outreach in MGIEP, we also do something called TAG or TAGI. Can we go back? So TAG is basically talking across generations. It is, can you go back to the previous slide, please, Maya? So talking across generation is like an online dialogue that we do. And in that, what you call it, we take a current topic. We have online discussions on Facebook and on Instagram and on LinkedIn. And we also send out survey forms and young people respond to these questions that we post to them. From that, we select about 6 or 7 young people to talk to a senior decision maker. After they've talked to a senior decision maker, they write a policy brief. And that's how talking across generation is about moving youth from tokenism to action and to actually have a voice. We are currently engaging people in ethics of artificial intelligence AI. So looking at data security from a youth perspective, please check us out on the Facebook and engage with the questions there. And maybe you'll be selected to have a conversation with the seniors. The upcoming tag is on reimagining education. There will be online discussions on that starting on the 7th of April. And we will be selecting our youth for the live discussion on the 2nd of May. And we also have independent tags that you can do like TEDx on your own. For that also, please feel free to contact us through the MGIEP info@mgiep.org website. Next one, please. Our other very exciting project right now is the Kindness Matters campaign. And we are hoping to collect 1 million kindness stories from across the globe. This we are hoping will culminate in an International Day of Kindness. So you can submit as many kindness stories on this Kindness Matters paper form. And if your kindness story is spectacular, we may even feature you in our little kindness globe that we have, in which you can touch and see who is doing what kindness stories. And all this will go towards our 1 million stories of kindness. And we're hoping that the 13th of November gets declared as the International Day of Kindness with the backing of all these kindness stories that we have implemented. We are hoping that education will become about promoting kindness. So that's about MGIEP. And over to you now, Maya.
Thank you very much. So after that little presentation, we're going to go into a little visual gallery. So over to Kulunu to share all the murals from the different groups. Just now, you were all representing different kinds of identities. So some of you were migrants, some of you were part of civil society or from the government, and talking about what you can do or how you might feel in this conflict. So let's see some of the murals, please.
I hope everyone can see the screen. I'm just going to go over.
Okay, great.
For the breakout rooms. So you see group 1.
Perfect.
2. maybe some of these groups did have a verbal discussion around some of these questions that you put. What kind of vulnerabilities, what are the conflict drivers, and so on and so forth. So what I have done is actually consolidated some of the responses. And maybe if you want to, Maya, you can either go from question to question. Then some of the responses that participants have given, I've consolidated here in one consolidated mural over here as well. Hope everybody can see.
Great. I think that's good. We can all just have a look at those things. And this activity was just to get everybody kind of thinking about these different kinds of questions of what are the kind of root causes of conflict and social unrest. So I heard some conversation about, the challenges in a fragile state, and then kind of the problems that come from another group of people coming in. But maybe that's not really the root cause. Maybe the things are there in that society already. But either way, different groups feel targeted and vulnerable in conflict. So we have things like minorities and migrants, or women who might feel more targeted. And I hope you all had interesting discussions to understand how these things could also be prevented, and how those different roles and stakeholders can play their role. So thank you very much for sharing this, and I hope you all had a productive conversation. And then let's go on to the last activity of today. So we've talked about conflict and challenges to social cohesion, but how do we move forward to talk about peace building? So I will just share my screen again. And we're going to talk a little bit about peace, what you can do as a youth, or what anybody can do to promote peace and social cohesion. So in this slide, I've wanted to kind of stress that peace, as we understand, is not just the absence of violence, but peace instead can be understood as the attitudes and the institutions and the structures that create and sustain peaceful societies. And this is a virtuous cycle where we all have to work and build and maintain peace continuously. So different organizations have different ways of talking about this. And this little picture I have here is from the Institute for Economics and Peace, where they identify 8 pillars that they believe contribute to peace. So looking at structural factors and cultural factors that promote peace. And I think 2 of these particularly are linked to UNESCO's work when we talk about the culture of peace and promoting that. So we're talking about, for example, the acceptance of the rights of others or good relations with neighbors. So these are working towards what we promote as building peace in the minds of women and men, and promoting that kind of kindness in our actions. Now, what can young people do to promote peace? So we want to move away from this 2 options of, youth being the victims and needing to be supported, or them being the perpetrators who need to be supported or stopped, I mean. So most youth in Sri Lanka and everywhere in the world are not per se affected by violence. So we understand that from about 100 people, 25% of youth are affected by violence, and maybe 5% fall into extremism. But that leaves with the majority of 70% of people who are not in either of these boxes. And here we want to promote that you have a role as an agent of change. And we want to engage youth to promote peacefulness and kindness in all aspects of peace building. So like Shreya was talking about, we have these exciting youth programs that you can definitely take part in. And also our co-facilitators are part of very interesting groups in Sri Lanka that you can reach out to. But peace can be also something that you do every day. Like you can have a conversation with someone you disagree with. You can listen to them without judgment. Or you can just do acts of kindness for a stranger, like that Kindness Matters project that we were talking about. So this is kind of what I wanted to just talk about in terms of peace and the different ways which we can all, through intercultural dialogue, like conversations with people who represent different views, through education and through understanding the media in a critical way, promote peace in our communities. And the last closing activity that we have for everyone is to kind of dream this tolerant and peaceful society that you would like to be part of, this ideal world. And we have a Google Jamboard link, if you can click on it there at the bottom. And this is, once again, this kind of empty whiteboard where I would like you to all get very creative and write down and draw your ideas, include some quotes or sources of inspiration for a really peaceful and tolerant society. So I have some guiding questions there for you, talking about the systems that should be in place. So when we talked about positive peace, we're not just talking about the absence of violence, but what different kinds of structures do we need to have in place? What kind of roles can different sectors play in this? What can the government do? What can the civil society do? What can you do? And what kinds of skills and opportunities do we need to have provided to all of us to foster this tolerance? So what kind of things help us understand the lives of others and promote kindness? So I hope you've been able to open up that link, and I will just let you now have this last activity where you're working on this, and then we'll come to close. Thank you very much. I would also encourage all the co-facilitators, if you can provide some inputs and ideas to get the drawings and writing started. Thanks. So in terms of time, we had thought about ending this workshop at 7:15. So I will just give you 10 minutes to work on this. And you are, of course, very welcome to come back to this and work on it after we close. But let's all be working on this document for about 10 minutes. And this is something that we can share from this workshop. So let's make it very nice and appealing.
Hi everyone. Here's a thought just to, maybe take the discussion and ideas ahead. Maybe we can also start thinking about how institutions and structures would look like when all these aspects that you all are mentioning would be incorporated in them. So, let's say when we talk about love and care, when we talk about equal rights, how would something like a job market look like when it is constituted with these values? How would something like an education system look like when it is based on trust and respect and love and care? How would the justice system look like when these values are incorporated in it? So this is just a thought to maybe get us ahead in terms of thinking also about tangible institutions and structures when we talk about tolerant and peaceful society. Thank you.
So feel free to keep working on this. I will share my screen again to share some links. So we have some more information and resources for you from Youth for Peace and United Network of Young Peace Builders. If any of you are interested in looking at these, I have the links here for you for the QR codes. Just wanted to flag that. Please ask in the chat box if you have any questions of other resources or information that you're interested in, and I will let you keep working on that board. Thanks. Okay, thank you very much. It's 7:10, and let's get back to the main room just for our closing statement so we finish on time. Thank you everybody so much for sharing your thoughts on that board. And I hope you had a chance to think about the different structures and systems that have to be in place for societies to be peaceful and tolerant. And in that other activity that you had some time in your group to think about how different identities and groups experience conflict and challenges to social cohesion. So I'll just share one last little form for you. If you could fill out some feedback and takeaways from this workshop, we would like to have that on our social media and have some thoughts for everyone. And I would also like to take a photo of everyone. If we could all turn on our cameras and say hi, we could finish off that way. So if we could first, everybody turn on your camera. Take a little picture. Kulunu, are you able to support me technically?
Yes, I will. Yes. So
okay. From your
let's get everyone to come on video. And then we'll take some screen grabs from my end as well. And if some of you also can take, then we can anyway, more the better. Yes. So we have about a couple of pages to go on the screen. So maybe we can do a couple of takes where someone does we do a normal photo and then maybe like a happy reaction of a thumbs up or something else like that also for everyone to end on a high note. Yes.
From your cue, please. We can't hear you.
I was on mute. In 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. I'm just going to take the first page. Hold on. I'm just going to save page 1. And folks on page 2 also, if everyone can come on video. I see a lot of faces still not on video. If our translators can also say for everyone to come on video, please. Sinhala and Tamil language interpreters, if they can announce for everybody to come on video. Yes, we see a few more faces coming along. Yes. Right. For the second page as well in 3, 2, 1. So 3, 2, 1. I'm going to take another screen grab.
Everybody.
Right. I think we are good. I think we are good, Maya.
Thank you, Kulunu. Perfect. So let me just share my screen for that form for some feedback and thoughts from this and some takeaways that we can share on our social media. So if you're comfortable with your name being on UNESCO social media, please indicate that in the form. And from all of our side, thank you so much for all of you participating today. I hope you had an interesting session and some new things that you learned. I want to thank all of my facilitators. You've done an excellent job, and from UNDP as well for supporting this event. Please feel reach out to us if you have any questions or other ideas. And can you all see that link there? Thank you very much. Stay safe and have a great rest of the evening. Bye-bye.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kulunu, for being such an excellent host. So we really appreciate all that you did. Thank you.